The Art of Ruling, from the letter of Aristeas. The king received the answer with approbation and inquired of the next, "What is the most essential qualification for ruling?" "To keep oneself," he answered, "free from bribery, and to practice sobriety during the greater part of one's life, to honor righteousness above all things, and to make friends of men of this type, for God too is a lover of justice." Letter of Aristeas, chapter 8, verses 12 to 13. The king signified his agreement and said to another, "What is the essence of kingship?" And he replied, "To rule oneself well, and not to be led astray by wealth or fame to immoderate or unseemly desires. This is the true way of ruling, if you reason the matter well out. For all that you really need is yours, and God is free from need, and benignant withal. Let your thoughts be such as become a man, and desire not many things, but only such as are necessary for ruling." Letter of Aristeas, chapter 8, verses 15 to 16. On the following day the same arrangement was observed, and when the king found an opportunity of putting questions to the men, he questioned the first of those who had been left over for the next interrogation, "What is the highest form of government?" And he replied, "To rule oneself and not to be carried away by impulses. For all men possess a certain natural bent of mind. It is probable that most men have an inclination towards food and drink and pleasure, and kings a bent towards the acquisition of territory and great renown. But it is good that there should be moderation in all things." Letter of Aristeas, chapter 8, verses 26 to 27. The king gave a kindly reception to the man and asked the next to answer the question, how he could avoid a life of ease and pleasure, and he replied, if he continually remembered that he was the ruler of a great empire and the lord of vast multitudes, and that his mind ought not to be occupied with other things, but he ought always to be considering how he could best promote their welfare. He must pray too to God that no duty might be neglected. Letter of Aristeas, chapter 9, verses 17 to 18. How can a man keep himself from pride? And he replied, if he maintains equality and remembers on all occasions that he is a man ruling over men, and God brings the proud to naught and exalts the meek and humble. Letter of Aristeas, chapter 9, verses 45 to 46. The king said that these men too had spoken well, and asked the next, whom ought we to appoint as governors? And he replied, all who hate wickedness, and imitating your own conduct act righteously, that they may maintain a good reputation constantly. For this is what you do, O mighty king, he said, and it is God who has bestowed upon you the crown of righteousness. Letter of Aristeas, chapter 10, verses 7 to 8. The king spent some time in praising this man, and then asked the last of all, what is the greatest achievement in ruling an empire? And he replied, that the subjects should continually dwell in a state of peace, and that justice should be speedily administered in cases of dispute. Letter of Aristeas, chapter 10, verses 23 to 24.